Of course, you know those 2.6 million cars already being recalled by GM for an ignition switch defect? Well, tonight the company says another part needs to be repaired. GM says it will replace ignition lock cylinders on the cars because apparently drivers can remove the key while the engine is still running, which could lead to a rollaway or even a crash. Today, the company put 2 engineers on administrative leave because of the debacle, as questions remain unanswered about why the company took more than a decade to initiate the recall. New tonight, 24 Hour News 8's Tom Hillen spoke with an auto industry expert who had a lot of insight into all this.
Oh, definitely, Marley. He's been around the auto industry for a very long time. Dr. David Cole is chairman emeritus for the Center for Automotive Research and has been around the auto industry all of his life. His dad was a former president for General Motors. He says while it's clear something went wrong somewhere with GM, often people don't realize just how complex discovering these major issues are.
Getting to the root cause of something like this is extremely difficult.
Part of why it's so difficult, he says, is because cars are built with thousands of parts from all over the world, and cars are just as complex of a machine as a plane. And when those parts start to fail, it takes time for the automaker to sift through all the information and find that common denominator.
There is no question that there were mistakes made at GM. There were mistakes made at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. But when you look at the complexity of the industry, it's not surprising that we have seen this occur time and again.
He compares the time it takes to figure out what is going on to what we often see play out in courtrooms.
We see this kind of thing in a courtroom all the time, where literally months and months are taken in often very simple cases to put stories together.
Making matters worse and more complicated is when all this was going on, GM was in the middle of a bankruptcy, restructuring, closing plants, and people were leaving. But as for a cover-up, Cole says, not likely.
You will never, ever see anybody at even a modest level try to cover up something, because one of the lessons that has been known for years is that in this day and age, you can't hide things, and if you try to cover it up, the cover-up is worse than the sin that was committed to begin with.
That's the big question. Was there a cover-up? The CEO of GM, Mary Barra, said today that a lead engineer may have lied under oath about authorizing a change to the ignition switch. Barra said placing those engineers on paid administrative leave today was just an initial step in figuring out who is to blame for the ignition switch problems that have been linked to 13 deaths. Marley.